Good evening. Welcome to the March 18th, 2026 meeting of the Executive Committee. My name is Sandy McKee and I'm the chair of the committee. Tonight, we are joined by District Manager Jesus Perez. The meeting is called to order at 6:30 p.m. New York State law states that all committee members who aren't able to attend the meeting in person must have their cameras on and their first and last name displayed for the full meeting. Members of the public who are attending virtually, you can raise any questions or comments that you have through Q&A. Feature of Zoom, members of the public who are here in person, you can raise your hand. It says that Justin Goldberg will be taking the minutes tonight, but I'm not, is he coming?
He asked for a Zoom link, which we sent him
Okay.
a little while ago. Maybe
He can look at those.
telepathically.
Yeah. We will now take attendance by roll call. Jesus will conduct the roll call.
Good evening, committee members. When I call your name, please say present. I will announce if there is quorum. Tanya Arias.
Present.
Thank you. Neil Barkley is not here, but Sarah Whittington is here in his stead.
Present.
Thank you. Stu Dester.
Present.
Thank you. Jason Fromowitz. I don't see him yet. Justin Goldberg. I don't see him yet either. Rupal Kakad is not able to be here, but Vice Chair Gloria Hage is here in her stead. Gloria.
Here.
Okay, John Keller.
Here.
Anton Malner.
Present.
Thank you. Sandy McKee.
Present.
Thank you. Alec Militic.
President.
Thank you. Steve Perez is not here. Pat Valero.
Yes,
Yeah. Pat, you wanna come over?
All right, and Barry Weinstein.
Present.
Okay,
Jason.
And here's Jason.
with Jason makes 11, with 11 members duly present, we do have four.
Okay, the agenda for tonight's meeting is reflected on the screen before you. If there's no objection, we will adopt the agenda. Members of the committee, if you object to adopting the agenda, please raise your hand. Okay, seeing no objections, the agenda for tonight's meeting is adopted. The minutes from January's and February's meetings are still being drafted. Once they are ready for review, they will be sent to you. The vice chair or second vice chair didn't used to have to do the minutes, so it's a new, it's a new thing that we're asking them to do. Oh, and here's Reshma as well. Oh, and there's Justin. Okay, we have. Okay. Ground rules, don't speak until you're granted the floor. If you have a question, wish to make a motion, please raise your hand and I will identify you. If you are on Zoom, please raise your hand and I will identify you. And it's important that only one person speak at a time so that those watching at home can understand what is being said. And please don't use the chat. I think everybody knows how to vote, so there shouldn't be any reason to need to use the chat. Tonight's agenda, chair's report. I don't really have anything to report other than it, tomorrow is Borough Board and we'll be voting on a response to the city's budget. They sent out the response and it aligns pretty well with what we have. Pretty much everything they've addressed in theirs as well. And I think that's it. We're going on to, we have a resolution that's come up for the New York City Health and Hospital Bellevue's request for additional funding for the psychiatric care treatment. And this came up in our discussions with Senator Gonzalez's office about our budget requests. And we asked if there was anything that she had that she would like us to support. And this came up. Apparently they did a walkthrough of Bellevue. And this was one of the issues that was addressed. And Gloria wrote the resolution overnight. So if there are any questions, or if you want to give a brief introduction to.
It's pretty straightforward. There's a rising need for mental health there. And this will give them the opportunity to create a movement of space that actually creates a safer place for staff and people coming in, a faster way to get people in without getting them into too many transfers, which I guess creates problems, and expand access. And they have really the only child mental health service in the area. So it's pretty impressive what they do. If you can see it in all the data is pretty much in the grant, and they need it quickly. That's why it's here. Because it's gonna align with the state budget, and that's coming up.
And they understand that we may not pass this at full board in time for the budget negotiations, but at least if we pass it here, it's an indication that it probably will make it. Doesn't always, as we saw, sometimes people come up with things at full board that they disagree with the committee, but it's at least a step in that direction. Is it,
Just a quick question, you may not know, but for there to be an additional 50 beds, what does that mean in terms of staff increases?
It's interesting because it doesn't really talk about staff. I mean, I'm imagining.
Then that
thinking of
correlates
the
Cost and
Yeah.
as, when I was on health, I learned that there's a different form of compensation. You're paid far less if you're coming out of a Bellevue stream. Despite if you are an NYU medical student also serving at Bellevue.
It's a really great question because it's also a long-term budget, right? That you have to, the cost of staff, but I have nothing on that.
my understanding was that this covered it. It's
Did it?
for everything. That
So
was
it's like whatever the cost.
whatever the cost
50 if needed.
is. Yes, that was. And some of it is funded by.
It was
healthcare.
stated that way,
Mhm.
but you just made me think how everything's, year to year, cost
It
of
does change.
staff is large.
Tanya,
Did I miss the amount that is necessary?
110 million, it's in the top.
Oh, it's up in the top, okay.
The mayor put in his budget, I'm thinking, was it 38 million? That will help revamp and create a separate emergency area to bring folks in. So this would be in addition to that, to do everything else that needs to be done.
48.2 million.
48.2 million, yeah.
Is there any other?
Is this requesting state funding or
Yes.
city? Okay,
State.
state. Okay,
That's why it's Senator Gonzalez is,
Gotcha.
it's going to have.
Okay.
If there's no further discussion, can we vote on this?
Yep.
Yep. All right, Jesus,
All right, when I call your name, please indicate your vote in favor, opposed, abstain, or not entitled. Tanya Arias,
In favor.
thank you. Neil Barkley,
In favor. He said I could do whatever.
Sarah Whittington in for Neil Barkley in favor. Stu Desser,
In favor.
thank you. Jason Domowitz,
In favor.
thank you. Justin Goldberg,
In favor.
thank you. In place for Rupal Kakad, Gloria H,
In favor?
thank you. John Keller,
In favor.
thank you. Anton Malner,
In favor.
thank you. Sandy McKee,
in favor,
thank you. Alec Militek,
In favor.
thank you. Stephen Perez is not here.
Reshma,
Reshma in favor, in place of Stephen Perez,
I'm in favor.
thank you. Kat Valero,
In favor.
thank you. Jerry
In
Weinstein
favor,
with 13 in favor, none opposed, no abstentions, no not entitled. This motion passes.
Jesus, Maya,
She's not on exec yet until she's officially made.
I didn't send an email, come on.
I didn't know if it was like official yet, so I.
It's official.
Now, if the quorum was iffy for a little while, it would have.
And if nothing else, she's vice chair replacing Gabe at this meeting.
Fair point.
Okay.
Point.
Maya,
In favor.
Thank you. Next on our agenda is the continued discussion of a CB6 email policy. And we discussed this a little bit last month, and I think we'd like to go forward. Jason, do you want to give a recap for? anyone who-
email policy.
Yes,
I didn't update the document, so I suppose maybe we re-table until next meeting.
okay. Okay. Discussion of statement of district needs for core infrastructure, city services and resiliency. Did everyone submit their first choice? We were asked to submit
We
our
got two
choice.
submissions.
That came out in the email with the invitation to the. I think because this encompasses so many different committees, it was decided that we would discuss it here at exec.
Here are the two submissions we got. We were both for the same thing, cleanliness, trash collection.
I submitted one, and it wasn't trash collection.
I'm sorry, this is all we got, but this is all I got, but let me see, would you enlighten us of what your?
Well, now I don't.
was?
Can you scroll back up to the?
Yeah, to the top, because it was.
These are the these are the choices.
And I put in noise pollution with the other one was environmental concerns affecting citizens. I felt that environmental concerns affecting citizens could cover noise pollution. So it sort of covered both, but that was my selection.
Are we to rank these?
We were to pick one
Pick one.
and explain why, and then that would be our choice from this committee. Out of those. Okay.
Is the discussion open?
I guess so, but we only, since we only have two responses. If anybody would like to. I guess discuss those two options or clarify if you have a choice, Kat?
Well, just because I've been in this process with two of the committees that were kind of the pilots before this one. Health and education or health, education, environment, however you decided. They actually are touching on the environmental aspect, just for point of reference. So that would be included holistically in this needs statement for our district. But I agree with you that is poignant and covers other areas of concern, both. That's what this discussion at health and environment was. Covers health issues, noise pollution, weather preparedness, like things of that nature.
Yeah, Tanya?
Considering that the number one complaint at 311 is noise. I think that is very important. And it actually does affect your state of mind when you're constantly under a barrage of noise. I know perhaps I'm particularly susceptible to it because I'm on 42nd between 2nd and 1st, and it is nonstop. The noise is overwhelming. But that is the number one complaint at 311, which is included in environmental impact. You know, that's part of the enjoyment of your home.
Sure.
Well, I recall the bills that were being considered by health last year. The air quality and pollution, is that in the 1, 2? As far as like your statement?
It's encompassing now that I'm thinking that we were actually emphasizing a different point in the because this is district needs, right? This is district. Yes, and I don't think we decided that. I'm gonna revert to an email, but it would encompass what you're asking, but it's not specific enough, and I think the call to action here is like getting specific about which one of these would be
Yeah, because
among this forum.
because these are all impossible to,
Yeah.
but I see the noise being either flat or improving because possibly congestion pricing. And I see the air quality getting worse and worse because of climate change.
The noise is
So-
not getting any better.
Okay,
Not
I
in my
stand
neighborhood.
corrected.
Mhm.
But I do think that the air
Yeah.
qualities, we never had the warnings before and people staying indoors and so forth. So I think that that's like a growing problem to head off.
Well, it could be all one, right?
Again, I think if it's the environmental concerns affecting citizens, certainly noise is an environmental concern, so it could cover. Just,
I agree with Sandy that environmental concerns affecting citizens covers noise and air quality. This one covers things like congestion, FDR. I think that encompasses a lot of things, or things that are very prevalent issues in our community.
Maya?
My question is, are we going to tease it out in the blurb? Cause I feel like the title of it is like super nebulous compared to all the other ones. I just wanna make sure that we're hitting the stuff that we actually want under that.
It does, we are required to write up why we selected that one and how it affects our district. Alan, did you?
No, that was my
Your
question, whether we would elaborate on the reasons, the rationale behind why.
Yeah,
picked
we
one.
would need to.
So that way we could cover all these bases as well.
Logistic, are we submitting a static or digital document? Because then we could cheat it with links to evidence. Put it in the,
It's a digital document. I think we've got links in it now, don't we?
Yes, we can't embed the links, but we can like list them
Site-
after our blurb.
so.
Yeah.
it's really quickly.
And to clarify, and that's exactly what I was, to Maya and your point, what we did in health and environment or education, I can't remember the name of it now. It's like a protocol of different sub bullets that we had to factor in, and for us, it was mental health, not environment, so now, since we're talking about environmental noise issues, that would be prevalent to this forum, but we covered like older New Yorkers, like different subsets that were already in the charter from previous years, and just tried to cover that in more of a larger blurb, not just a few lines that you see on the screen.
Actually, Jason, to go back to the email policy, that brings up a point that we do change names of the committees fairly often, more than Jesus would like. But it might just, I'm not sure how we consider that.
We'd be able to forward an inbox to the new one, that shouldn't be a problem,
Just,
but yes. good.
that does happen.
Yes.
Sorry. Okay. Well, I don't know, do we want to wait and get people to actually respond officially, or would we like to go ahead and?
Well, since the committee seems to be coalescing around 3 as opposed to like a dozen, if people are okay with maybe choosing among these 3, and all of you go home, look at these, say which one of these 3, perhaps cleanliness, trash collection, because that's the current should pick, and at least 2 people submitted, those as their options. Environmental concerns affecting citizens and noise pollution. And then people can submit why they think that is the most important, one of these 3 is the most important issue in this category for this district. And then that's some progress there.
And I'd be willing to retract noise pollution and just put environmental concerns affecting citizens and assume that noise pollution would be covered in that.
I'm not sure that's an assumption we can comfortably make. I've not
I don't
known
think
this
so.
form when we submit it to the city to be super broad that way. So if you really think noise pollution is the top concern, I would stick with noise pollution. Because since they list it separately, it suggests to me it will not be encompassed in environmental concerns.
Can you also share with us the blurbs that were submitted last year with the district needs statement, so that way we can see, because if
Well,
the
they're
language,
here.
oh, they are included in the document, okay.
Yeah, this is the trash one. There wasn't really much.
But it covers all the other 12 topics.
Yeah. And
Um,
it is in, the Budget and Government Affairs, committee
Okay,
website
okay.
page.
And these are optional, but they're more for like a specific committee, so.
Mhm.
So do we know which, agency that would go to?
Which one?
The environment.
I need to look in their portal. I don't think the new one is up yet. I can see if the old one is up and see. I can look at that.
Because sometimes that gives you an idea of which one is priority. Okay, moving on, district managers report.
I'll wait.
Okay.
I'm sure I'll have a lot to say during the committee reports.
All right. We're moving along here. Public safety and sanitation. As our first,
The first agenda item is the fire department. We're gonna just meet with their community affairs head. They do publish some data. It's not quite CompStat, but it's sort of comparable. We're gonna just be introduced to the kind of data they have, some of the tasks that they do, and we'll interrogate them and figure out what additional data we want. The second agenda item is the,
can I, sorry, just a question on that. Are you sending them questions ahead of time? Because I know most agencies,
I had a discussion with
them.
with the person, but in this case, it's more of a conversation.
Session.
Because you have to know something to know what questions to ask. And it just seemed fair to let the committee be exposed to it. And remember, the fire department's not just fire, it's also chemical, chemical stuff. It's also EMS. And it's also inspections and prevention. And they have a whole bunch of different bureaus and sub-bureaus, and you have to sort of get the introduction before you have a real sense of what you want to ask for. So the second agenda item, you've heard me talk about before, it's the New York Civil Rights Act. It's being proposed in Albany, and it basically would allow people in New York State to sue federal officers individually who violate their constitutional rights. Right now, there is no provision for doing that. You can sue this a federal agency under the state torts law, but you can't sue the individual officer for violating their rights. So that will be considered by the committee. And then we'll have discussion of budget requests and the state. And then I'm sure I'll waive my chair's report, but it's there.
And Stu has been reaching out to groups in our district and asking.
What ails them, and they were not shy about sharing. And I spoke with the DSNY, the latest DSNY superintendent today. And we're gonna try to get them to show up at a meeting, because even though the sanitation districts are by design, coterminous with the community board district, they work in the mornings, we work at night, and they don't want to come and talk to us in the evening. So we're working on that, because that's an issue. We don't, DSNY doesn't appear to do any kind of data collection now, like going out on the streets and looking for where the trash is. They don't seem to be able to therefore adjust the way they operate based on that. We talked to them about if a neighborhood association or a bid puts out its own trash containers, if the city will collect from those. And it sounded more positive today than I think it really is, but we'll see.
So are you going to report that's in your chair's report to your committee?
Oh, I guess.
Would you?
Well, we'll see. It's a conversation. I've exchanged emails with the superintendent, who seems very willing, and.
Well, put at least a list of the people you've contacted and what their response was.
I share that with everyone.
You'll share that with everyone.
I sometimes share that by email, but yes, I share.
Okay, well, that's one of the problems. If you don't share it with the board office. Did you share it with the board office?
Yeah, I copied Brian.
Okay, he didn't copy me. Not that I'm queen, but it would be nice to know.
this announcement today of Gregory Anderson, how does that figure into your?
I don't know how it figures in, he's new.
I guess Thursday or Friday, there'll be a formal announcement.
But just that, you know, the fact that we're reaching out to the community, it's great. We should let the whole board know. So, okay.
And we're also asking about containerization, which has not come to our district. It's in that's the word, pilot program now in Brooklyn. But we're, you know, our street structure is our neighborhood infrastructure, the fabric of our streets is different from Harlem and from any neighborhood in Brooklyn, really. So we should be part of that conversation, and we've asked for that as well.
Okay.
And just an informational question, is the Civil Rights Act this year, or is it gonna be carried over till next?
They're trying to do it this year, they're trying to do it quickly, and they have said, you know, if we can get this by the next board meeting, it may be of some utility.
Thank you.
So if someone shoots you, you can sue them. That's the bottom line for this, right? More for the lawyers.
Why would that be hypothetical?
It's not.
I mean, because people have thought that before, but no one's actually shot me.
Yeah.
But yes, that's an important, there's a federal act that has been around since the 1870s that allows you to sue state actors who violate your rights. But there's just not one for federal actors. And, you know, with the concerns about ICE.
Right,
obviously,
exactly.
This
Yeah.
is a significant issue and probably less controversial at this board than other things that I have opened my mouth about.
We always love what you have to say.
So your FDNY guest, you've already confirmed.
The FDNY, yes, Brian sent out an invitation already.
And next up, we have transportation.
Sorry, we have, and number 2 is a invitation for, our favorite topic, the Gramercy Park Hotel. Will be presenting at our committee, asking for a distinctive sidewalk application.
Gramercy Park Hotel is.
Yes.
Oh.
So I expect that to be a bundle of fun.
It never ends.
What are they?
They want the materials of the sidewalk to be something special, and therefore they need a review.
Which is no big thing, but
Committee
it's
board.
response to that.
Do you know what the material is?
I don't remember offhand. I don't think it's that interesting. I just think it'll invite conversation.
Venetian glass.
Is that?
I don't think that's the reason for it. I think just because they're asking for.
It looks like a
sort of
sidewalk in
special
Portugal,
sidewalk.
like a sidewalk in Portugal with
But I
the
mean,
inlays. or-
It's the material of the sidewalk would be landmarks if it's the width.
It's not, the sidewalk would not be landmark.
No, sidewalk.
It's the building, not the sidewalk.
It is in my neighborhood.
Sidewalks.
If it.
I'm in a landmark
Blue
district.
stone, that's
so.
different, but this, it's just.
Sorry, Jason, are they going to bring you some sort of model or
They'll
sample?
be, yeah,
or-
presenting the details of what they plan to.
Wow, it's gotta be really different to get a whole.
I don't think it's that exciting, but it is the bureaucratic process that we have.
Oh, good.
I don't know if we wanna maybe call out specifically that it's the Gramercy Park Hotel or not.
To Lexington Avenue.
It's fine, yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Just to make a comment that, you know, the neighbors probably are going to wanna know about it, and they're probably going to wanna come in full force.
Yes.
So,
Yes, it will be. Sure.
So they have their
Yeah.
Google alerts.
Yeah,
What is a distinctive sidewalk?
Well, that's what we're trying to
Is
figure
it-
out.
okay.
Effectively, they're asking for like a different treatment of the pavement, as I understand.
Okay, so it's not like landmarking it like you would with landmarks, but
No.
it's
And-
something else.
I have some professional experience with this, and it's really just as, when it's not concrete, just regular concrete, you have to get it, it becomes distinctive. And sometimes people want to embed something in it,
Okay.
Even if
That-
the concrete's a different color. right?
Yes, if the concrete's a different color,
I believe we do have the details, I just don't remember offhand.
it's, yeah, it's all in the sidewalk.
We can come back and I'll let everybody, I'll look it up on the document report.
Or you should attend transportation.
Yeah.
Yeah, sorry, yes, if you want to know. So yeah, there was a brief moment where we thought it wasn't gonna have to come to transportation. And then they decided that it did, DOT decided they did in fact need the community board to review it, so, here we are. All right, so that's that one. Then we have a street renaming, co-naming request. I know we have an overdue need to
Address,
come
yeah.
to a policy on how we handle these. They did in parallel, reach out to I forgot which city council person it is, must be Maloney, yes, Maloney's office. So yes, we'll be hearing that, but it is a good reminder that we need to address policy around it. Then we have request for parking changes around NYU's Langone emergency room. They're asking for several spaces to turn into ambulance only parking. We talked about it in our last meeting, we're just gonna review the written resolution. And then lastly, we have Families for Safe Streets coming to discuss neighborhood slow zones throughout District 6. We have a draft resolution there. Basically, we would be asking for the city to designate all of CB6 as a neighborhood slow zone, as Sammy's law allows for, which was passed last year in the state legislature. It would allow potentially the whole district to be designated as a 15-mile-per-hour speed limit.
Did I hear correctly that that's the mayor's wanting to do that all around all the schools?
Yes,
Bring it down
Yeah.
to, okay,
I think it is done.
yeah, it's done, right?
it was announced that they're going to be doing it, I
That's what I'm
think.
saying, like it's like December.
But I think the rollout of changes is a bit staggered, but yes, it will be done over the course.
Is Jacob Epstein the American entrepreneur, philanthropist, and diplomat who founded the American Oil Company?
But I'll look up the details of the update.
Okay.
I have no idea. this.
That might be right. I'll look it up.
Okay, no, we'll go to the meeting, we'll go to the meeting. Okay, anything else for?
That is-
Just, okay, parks, landmarks and cultural affairs. And just before Sarah starts, there was a request to revise this committee a little bit, so landmarks is now moving to land use and waterfront. Hence the issue of, so it's going to be land use and waterfront and landmarks.
Oh,
And this is partly because now the city of Yes, landmarks have a whole different aspect to them in city zoning, partly. And with I'm not sure if the city chart, well, let's put it this way, landmarks have a different place in our district now because of what's happened with the zoning. So we're gonna go ahead with that,
So it's just parks and cultural.
parks and cultural affairs.
Okay.
And they're gonna try and focus more on cultural affairs as well as parks.
that makes sense,
Yes,
actually.
okay, sorry, Sarah, go ahead.
That's all right. Presentation from the Parks Department is monthly, part to the agenda. We are starting the renovations, the new restroom at Murphy Brothers Playground. And if you remember on September 2nd at our Parks meeting, we set up a resolution that was passed on the Wednesday of the September 10th full board and is now on the reso list, but we're looking at that again because the work is starting shortly. And part of our resolution was to look at the design of the restrooms. And so since that's part of the reso, and we'd like to ask DDC about that request that we had, and is it possible to change or alter a little bit the current design? If they've done something or if they've not, they probably haven't, but I think it's worth asking. Do you agree?
I think at this point we have a color maybe they do change words. But, that's probably it. Maybe the
Yeah.
word, they might change.
Yeah, but without some sort of pressure going on, I
But they're
doubt
gonna
it,
do
but
it.
I think it's worthwhile just mentioning it to them.
And we should let them know what we think about the design.
Mhm.
Um,
Okay. Next is the, let's see, on my agenda, I had the, East 36th Street, where is that?
Oh, it's a
Um,
landmark issue?
No, it was the roof and the side,
That's a.
That's
a landmark.
It's a landmark issue.
yeah.
So it's going to.
Oh,
land
okay,
use.
it's going
It'll
to,
go land use.
okay, got it. And let's see, I'll work from here. Parks, and the number 3, the district needs statement, we've started to work on. Jesus and Brian sent out a note to the committee members to please respond to that particular, piece that we need to take care of. We also are talking about an parks air table, which means we're devising a list of all the parks that we have in our area. And there is a protocol set up already, which our committee is being asked to look at individually with all these different categories, but that's just simply a start to it. And so what we're looking to do is add to that prototype that we have, discuss, what needs to be on it and how we would proceed. So we're trying to also get community input. So I would be interested, Stu, offline to figure out how you're communicating with the community to get input. And so it's important to have all the voices because we do have a sufficient number of parks and there, needs to be a list where anyone could go to. And I think that's another piece. It should be a useful list and a place, easily accessible on our website for, the general public and even members of all the boards. Did I get all of those?
I think so. And I'm not gonna go to the meeting, but I have a suggestion. I think we should list the volunteer groups that work in each of the parks. Because we quite often get people who want to volunteer, and this way we could direct them to the right group.
Yes, we do.
It's
Letty
already in there.
Simon has a really good list that she shared with me, so, we're gonna look at that together, but it's significant.
Yeah. think
So I
that-
agree, you need to know how to get to the community.
Yeah.
And, as opposed to individual names, you need the group so that you can address the needs that way rather than, singling out a person.
Because things, people change.
Right, exactly, exactly.
Okay, anything else for Parks and Cultural Affairs?
The historic district council thing was on there, but we moved
Me
it
too.
to land
Land
use.
use, yeah.
Though we have been in communication with the Landmarks Preservation Commission. It does not, they are still checking internally, but they were comfortable saying, this is not likely to come up in the next couple of months. So it's maybe not as time sensitive as.
As we had originally thought. Theoretically, they review things in a year. Came up in May of 2025, but it's the way it is.
Well, I'm gonna
Apparently,
raise
so
a
they
point
have
of order,
replied in
but I'm
writing.
gonna,
They have said they haven't replied in writing to historic district council,
Oh, okay, so we could,
but obviously since that's not us, we didn't get a copy of it, so.
good to know though, we can ask them to come again.
I'm gonna raise a point of order, but I'm gonna reserve it till after everything else, when we get to new business.
Okay. We have health. Environment, there's no education in here, right?
Well, we have decided on a name change, so we'll have to come here, but I don't know when that's gonna happen. Health,
Okay,
education and environment. So will
so
be the new name,
Health-
if it gets approved.
health and education, I guess, for now.
We're having a presentation by NYU on bicycle safety, but it's going to, we've asked them to focus on the injuries they see and how best to prevent those injuries.
Mhm.
We have a presentation from New York Connects Manhattan under services. They connect people, long-term services and supports to see what's available and get that out there and understand that. Continued discussion of our district needs. We have finished the health portion, but we're gonna have to do the education portion next. So we have one more to go.
Any questions? Okay, we're moving on to budget and government affairs. Reshma.
I'm happy to hear everybody who has on their agenda items to review budget items. We will continue that at our next meeting. We also are working on a handbook for everybody to look at in the procedures on submitting the request, what the budget committee does, and hopefully it will be useful to existing members, but especially to new members of Community Board 6. And lastly, in our discussion last month of the FY 2027 budget, we were thinking of, we had a discussion on different revenue generating ideas, and we are going to continue that at our next meeting and invite someone from the Independent Budget Office to talk about that. And that's it.
Great. Do we have anything else? Any questions for Reshma? Okay, thank you. Move on to housing and homelessness.
We're gonna continue our discussion about the future of the 30th Street Men's Shelter. We would like to have DHS or DSS attend next month if possible, but regardless, the committee agreed this week to come up with some questions that we would have prepared, as well as ideas about the future of the site. And so we will have a conversation regardless of whether or not the city agents attend. We're also going to continue the discussion that was started on Monday with the district needs statement. So Brian sent us some materials. We have some homework to do as a committee this next couple weeks, and then we're going to continue our conversation there. That's it for now. Might change, might not. But those two for sure will stay on the agenda for April.
And Hazel, you were looking for, says verify language.
That's an internal note.
Oh, okay.
But if Alec is okay with this language.
Yeah. I mean, unless the city agency confirms that they're going to attend, but for now, that's perfect.
Yeah, well, maybe wait a week or two to see if we can actually get them to come.
Okay.
They didn't say no, but they didn't say yes.
Okay.
Okay, and so then I guess will Sandra chairing this?
TBD, I will let you know soon.
And I know you asked the committee to put together questions, because I think, again, they always appreciate that, to send it to.
Yeah, so we're gonna compile a list of questions as well as a list of things that we would like to see in terms of the future of the building or of this.
Yeah, because if DHS sees the questions, they might be more willing to come.
Yeah. And I think let's have Brian ask that questions be submitted by April 6th.
Okay, so it's
Gives us about
Time
2
to-
weeks before.
to put it together.
Yeah.
Okay. Next up is land use and waterfront.
Okay, so as you can see, we have the new landmarking.
Yeah,
thing.
sorry, that's your
April 1, yeah.
So we're.
Okay, there we go.
And that's for April?
Yeah, that we already have stuff for April. But
Okay.
I'll focus on March for now.
Just asking because I won't be at the March one.
But so we're gonna be talking about locations for schools. It's definitely something that's been coming up a lot from the community input, so. We're going to be looking at some creative ways, some maybe more straightforward ways to. Find locations within our district to meet the needs of school children, and then. We're gonna talk about public restrooms. I know James Vera has been doing a lot about this in POP, so. I will connect with him more, so I'll be fully informed by the meeting, but I know that's been going on. He's been doing a lot of work on that, so it should be a robust discussion.
And just to
Yeah, no, sorry.
Sorry to interrupt, but CB5 sent us all their documentation. They've been asking for this. They have probably more pops than we do. Our pops are sort of older. But they were saying any new pops, they're insisting that there be public access to restrooms. So they sent us their resolutions to take a look.
Is, Sandy, is that something that the community board is asking for, or is that,
Yes,
but it's not a requirement for,
it's not a requirement.
it's not a requirement?
Isn't that the nature of pops, that it's publicly accessible?
No, public accessible wash restroom.
Oh,
Toilet.
Yeah.
They call them toilets now. Yes.
I wonder if it would, there's never been legislation to maybe try to get, because it is a public space,
Yeah, no, it is not part of it.
so, okay.
And especially there's a new Pops coming that's going to have an outdoor cafe potentially, so it's, yeah.
Now, I only asked the question because if a POPS application comes to land use, right?
Mhm.
We can't say, well, we're not going to approve it unless you put a bathroom in, right? We can only
I-
suggest it.
Well, we always make suggestions. We never,
Okay,
we can say we don't approve of this unless, we do not support this unless there is a public restroom.
yeah, I just want to know how much power we have to.
And we can take a look at CB5's resolution and see, I think they did have success.
Okay.
Recently getting
Okay.
public access to toilets. Sorry, go ahead. Sorry to.
No, you're good. And then we're gonna take up a resolution on, East 36th Street and under the FDR, there's metal fencing that's, opaque. It's not like chain link. It's completely, you can't see the waterfront through the other side and there's barbed wire. It's NYPD parking, I think, right now. But we're gonna be asking for them to take it down in the name of accessing the waterfront. And then there's also a little thrown in there about painting, but maybe that'll get folded into like this other broader FDR, redevelopment, redesign, refurbishing. And then we're gonna be talking about district needs. I know last year our district need was affordable housing. I'm assuming it will be the same, but, we will talk about it. And then that's about it. I think my chair's report will be that I'm the new chair.
And John, the principal is coming or?
Yes, SALC is very grateful to the board for its action, and they're hoping that the principal will be attending your meeting just to offer their assistance as you.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
I know like, George did something, I was reading an email that he had sent to Gabe about looking at MSBI and what this, I have to read more about it, but there are definitely some things, so it'd be nice to have the support. from them.
Yeah, and I think what they want to do is say that now that you've been helpful to us, what could we tell you about what we're looking for? You know,
Right, which was definitely
space, what
that's
kind
what we
of,
do.
what are we looking for? you
Yeah.
know, So.
What we can find.
Okay, business affairs and licensing.
Business first. Not too much on the agenda so far, so we'll wait till next Monday.
Yeah.
But,
Oh my
oh,
goodness.
it's kept growing. What is this?
Holy smokes.
I went to the,
Oh my goodness.
and it's all-
3 hours ago.
Monday.
Wow.
Anyway, I didn't see, at least for the things to be presented, that there were any big deals. The first three actually are regularizing the sidewalk space that's been in effect for years and years. Over at Mimi's and a couple other places I've had sidewalk seating.
I've always wondered why they got to use this.
Mimi's?
Well,
Oh,
Smith and Walensky.
yeah, that's.
Yeah.
I mean, it's big, it's really big, and it's been there forever. It's been there since I've lived in the district, but
Yeah.
do they pay for it?
They should.
Well, that's a good, can you please ask them? Cause it's a big chunk of sidewalk there.
Yeah,
So isn't that transportation?
No,
cause
The use-
sidewalk cafe.
It's a sidewalk cafe, but use of the sidewalk is
Stu, how long?
But it's like the license.
We had a discussion of the sidewalks.
We had this
And
discussion
it
at
was-
full board
Yeah.
with,
About how
Marat.
high street,
The
the
passive
passive
area.
The clear path thing.
Right.
And I've decided.
So-
Yeah, but this is.
Dining.
They're talking about the permitting of the cafes, which
No,
is.
no, we get it, we get it.
Okay.
And actually, it was a good point of full board.
Yes, I think
Good.
that was fair. There should have been some collaboration.
And so maybe there will be in the future, there'll be more discussion of this, like what actually is viable and happens. I mean, it's not too late, so.
I second that.
Yeah,
It's very important.
yeah, because it seems.
Jesus, did you add in a cannabis while I wasn't watching?
Your liaison. As they came.
I looked at it 3 hours ago.
This was
Google
the,
Docs.
Eh,
You don't get a break.
this would be the most fun committee.
One thing, I think, Anton, isn't it, I think before this committee meeting, there's the presentation by the cannabis board, right, to explain. It would, oh no, they
I
delayed
don't
it,
think so, no.
they delayed it till April or something, but to explain that issue of the 1,000-foot rule that came up at full board, that I don't think people completely understood. And that as a community, you can ask them to change the 1,000-foot rule and make it less.
So it can vary from one
On a
community.
case.
No,
case
well, if the
basis or
community
general?
wants more cannabis shops, you could advocate to have a cannabis shop with less, is my understanding of the way. it
Well, I
works.
think the issue here is that for schools, it's 500 feet on the same block.
Well, no, this is the distance between,
And
like,
that is a radius.
it's a radius where the
Yes.
schools are a block.
So if you're gonna advocate for less, you have to do it for each application, or you
Yes.
can be, okay.
We pass a- Theoretically, we pass a resolution saying in TB6, we want.
We want hundreds of cannabis.
We want only- we don't need some more
Every
limit.
empty
That's not my position.
You know, I think this will take care of some of the problems
have
we
to
had
take
all
a
those
vote.
vacant storefronts.
Yeah. I mean, we have so many vacant storefronts.
Yes.
I mean, that's always a discussion
home
with them, like,
shop?
why did you pick this storefront when there are like 50 empty
50 empty,
storefronts that are more appropriate?
Yeah, the homework.
Yeah.
Do you, do you ever ask them what they would do in absence of their application being approved? Like if they don't get the cannabis application approved, what are they gonna have in there instead?
Well, the landlord doesn't
Well,
come, it's the cannabis.
Oh, it's the applicant thing.
Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Like publisher,
Right, okay.
content creator.
Yeah, okay. Interesting.
Other than that, I'll have to re-review all that. We're gonna be talking about the Balkan book, which was handed out a couple of weeks ago to review, and we'll discuss that. Other than that,
Okay. So
Quick question. Is it your purview or Maya's about the sidewalk cafes, which I read today in Crane's Business, that Menon and Mondami are coming to some agreement about relaxing the sheds and starting that season in April.
Year round.
actually, that's,
This said April 1 through November. Could be
I
wrong.
think that's the current policy. My understanding is they're working towards
the,
year round.
the city council, under
Could be.
the auspices of Julie Menon, wants to do 12-month roadway cafes. And I think we've already told them our objections to that.
Have we
I don't-
passed a resolution in opposition to that?
Pardon
Did
me?
we pass a resolution in, with that?
no, I don't think so. No,
No,
And in our last meeting, we were talking about a city council, like there's a bill that has been out there. And that's where we were talking about it on record.
okay, so then we'll talk about it this meeting and make a resolution.
Tanya?
I have a silly question, but it's out of principle. What is the rationale behind the roadway cafes now that COVID has become endemic and not a pandemic?
Tanya, that's not for us here. It's to make money and because people enjoy it.
Yeah, you're outside, it's nice. It's a public space.
Yeah, I mean, cars get to go there for free. Why shouldn't people enjoy it?
I'm just
asking. Okay, sorry, but we really don't want to debate.
Okay.
So, Tom, just to be clear, you're adding that, intro 0655 onto your agenda for this month,
Please,
and you're adding the bulk handbook
yes.
as well.
And Justin, did you want to give a brief update on the handbooks, the committee handbooks?
Yeah, I have a template that I've finalized and you'll all be getting that tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Okay, great.
Yes, because let me rephrase that. You'll be getting that last week, which means tomorrow. So we finalized this. Thank you, Sandy, for your feedback. I had it ready for full board meeting, but I have not sent it out. So we'll be doing that tomorrow.
Okay.
And Justin, the minutes for January and February?
Yeah, I know those are outstanding. I know, I'm aware. Thank you.
Okay. So now we're on to old and new business. If any member of the committee has any old or new business, please raise your hand. Okay, I don't know who was, I think Jason was fast.
First, and he moved it, his hand goes higher, so.
Just quickly looping back to our naming request, it is the oil, person. The basis of the request though is his, philanthropic work with the United Nations, and the requester is the American Jewish Committee, so it will be an interesting discussion.
And that's right here, Central Synagogue, right?
What is this? Jason, what is this?
There's a request for a street co-naming for what did you say? What was his name?
Jacob Blaustein, which is also the name of the building that the American Jewish Committee's building is named after him as well.
And
Wow,
that's
that's
and they are on the street. Is it near?
I was trying to be like, what's that?
The Central Synagogue is 57 miles.
I'm sorry, I missed.
It's kind of like they've got to take
56
it's the
miles.
name of the building.
Yeah, they're just taking it a little further.
Oh my God.
Um,
a wash for this.
well, Stu had his hand.
Oh, Stu, sorry.
Okay, so two things I'm gonna raise now, and just for raising them now, we don't need a decision today. We've talked about having a parliamentarian, obviously no one has volunteered. We have violated our own bylaws, we did it just today. The bylaws say that before you reformulate the standing committees, there has to be a consultation with the executive board, there has to be a discussion. We violated, Robert's rules. What I would suggest, and I waited until Jesus was here because I needed him to be available to say no, is that it really shouldn't be a board member, but it should be the office staff who's familiar enough with the rules that at a committee meeting or the full board, the board staff can say, no, that's not permitted, or this is the way you do it. And you know, the office staff does actually know stuff that people like me don't. So Brian told me about a resolution which I obviously voted on, but don't remember, which is not in the bylaws, that you can't reschedule a meeting more than 2 weeks before a holiday or something like that.
If you're rescheduling a meeting because of a holiday, you must reschedule it with 2 weeks notice.
Okay, so that's the rule. So I didn't know that. I mean, the office staff does know some stuff. And when you go to committee meetings, I didn't know, at one of our meetings that, you cannot move, you cannot call the question at a committee meeting. That's not required. You don't have to second anything at a committee meeting. So there's a bunch of procedures that we're not sure how to follow, or we kind of follow haphazardly. And I think the purpose of first of all, we wrote the bylaws. So if we really shouldn't be violating the laws that we wrote. And secondly, the purpose of procedure is to be fair, and sometimes we have not been fair as a consequence of violating Robert's rules. So I think we need to consider some degree of enforcement. So I'm just gonna, I've said that now and I'll let that simmer for a bit. The other point, which I'm also glad Jesus is here for to say no, is I think that the opening monologue has got to be cut down. It's unnecessary boilerplate for the most part. Committee members must know by now that, you know, if you're appearing virtually, you have to be on camera and your name has to be displayed. I just,
Unfortunately, they still don't do it.
Yeah.
they don't do it.
Yeah.
So you read the boilerplate and they don't do it anyway.
Mm.
So the boilerplate might as well not be read and we should enforce the rule instead.
Well, except if we don't read it, then we can't enforce it. And maybe we're not very good at enforcing it, but
Not true at all. We have a rule. Board members are obliged to know the rules and to follow them.
But don't you think
It's actually state law, sorry.
State law is a rule.
But also, the boilerplate is also there, not entirely just for us, but it's also there for the public, so they're aware of sort of what kind of rules we're operating.
So for the public, you do have to say what the rules are, you know, for raising your cartoonish hand or for you know, when you speak, but the board members just don't need that recited every time. And we're always worried about time, how long something's taking, and then we take 2 minutes to run through the recitation. So that's my argument.
and
Question, is that legally required,
what to be?
that 2 minute boilerplate at the beginning of the meeting?
No, it's really to assist committee chairs and the public to understand what, you know, what happens. And I believe everyone personalizes the boilerplate. I hope they do. I mean, I don't read verbatim. I always revise it because but the
Not
other.
as much as I do, but.
But the other thing is that when we have new members and
Yeah.
we're not really sure when they're coming, it's really good to have this because they don't know.
Then that's part of the training.
It
You know,
is,
That's
but
the orientation to membership.
I will guarantee you, we had 12 new members. 6 of them didn't know how to vote. 6 of them voted the wrong way. You know, it's,
And it happens anyway.
well, no, but for probably 6 of them, they figured out how to do it because we told them. So we only got 6 wrong instead of 12.
Also, isn't usually the first meeting, you get the email like the week before and then all the training happened over the summer,
Yeah.
but you had to go to a couple meetings before any of that happened.
So do it twice a year, do it when you have new members, and I think in all fairness, Kat had her hand raised a while
Well,
ago.
Kat and then Maya.
Yeah, so as a new member of this past year, we did go over, but Stu, to your first point about the bylaw, that has been very ambiguous in my opinion. Because if there are state rules versus what we're doing here in Community Board 6 versus Community Board 5 or 8, like, I think being as explicit as possible and following that is kind of, it shows a reputation and what we're holding ourselves accountable for. I'm doing this voluntarily, I could be doing other things, so it's like, I feel like a standard procedure is kind of the least that we could do, and also following the state law that Jesus mentioned. Like, I know that for like showing up to meetings, not only showing your face on the Zoom, but there's like a criteria where I wish that was emphasized more, like people, I feel like some of us do that better than others. So I think reviewing Robert, and I don't even know what that is, the parliamentary and the Robert's rules, right, but I don't have access to it. I looked it up the last time you brought this up last month. Couldn't find it in a free form. It's in the office, but it's not accessible to me. So as a new member representing that cohort, we're gonna get new ones coming up in a couple of months. So I agree with what you were saying in the beginning. Not so much about the repetitive nature of talking at the top of committees and full board meetings. Repetition can equal good consistent behavior, but some people don't follow it, and there should be an enforcement aspect. I agree with you.
Maya.
I think Kat eloquently said all that, but I was going to ask a question, like what is the benefit do you feel of cutting that like spiel at the beginning? Like what is the value added of cutting it versus just like spending the 1 minute saying?
What's the value of cutting it out?
Yeah, like,
Because, it's. Because everyone sits there, some chairs read through the thing at 400 miles an hour. It's just extra time and extra nuisance and, you know, meanwhile, you have people that may be waiting online to, at a committee meeting to talk and they're hearing, you know, do this ramble.
Frankly, the attendance takes more time
yeah.
than reading the spiel.
I
Should we cut
I
out the
was going to
attendance?
raise that too, but that's another thing. I'm holding that for next month.
I'd like to
But
just
it-
say, I think we should ban cell phones in meetings,
Yes.
because I think that's much more of a.
What about iPads? iPads are
It's much more of a problem when I go back and look at the meetings, you know, after, because I don't attend them all, and there's so many people. It shows a real lack of respect and attention. But
I would just like to say, I know where you're coming from on that, but at the last Parks meeting, I volunteered to take minutes. I didn't bring my laptop, but I had this and I took the minutes on the phone. So there's
I think for a minute taker, absolutely.
there's
there's-
things.
But Alec and then.
I also have qualms with something that is in the bylaws and it's a different topic than what Stu's getting on, but maybe. Is it time that we revisit the bylaws? Is that possible?
Sounds like you're volunteering to set up. a bylaw.
I mean, again, I as queen get to decide if we're going to review the bylaws. That's in the bylaws, right? So it's.
Don't make me remember if we're crowned or not.
And I've been on a bylaw committee at this board, and they are time consuming, they're extensive, and unfortunately, quite often we end up parsing the language, which is not what it's meant to be. So it's a very difficult thing to go into because it can really go off track.
Just to add to that, you know, I've read our bylaws a couple of times, but I'm forgetting like what's the percentage of people that have to agree to, you know, once you revise the bylaws.
The full board, it goes to full board.
And that's huge. I mean, I was on my condo board and to, you know, revise the bylaws, people are just like not wanting to do it because it's time consuming. And you've got to have, I think we needed 67% of people.
Not in New York, not as the community board.
50%.
But it's, you know, my point is that it's time consuming and tough.
I'm sorry, I think Jason and.
Yes, I got a few comments, pertaining to the spiel. I do think we could cut out the rules, so maybe shorten the rules for committee members. Perhaps like, I don't think the like entering comments in the Zoom chat is really an issue that I've noticed. No, it is, I don't know.
It's not, I tend to cut that out, I think.
Yeah, okay.
But
So
again.
I think it could be shortened, but I do think there's value in the spiel altogether. I do think it like gives us like a level of like professionalism and like production quality of these meetings, especially people that are attending for the first time in the community, just like explaining like how this meeting is gonna work and the people shouldn't just burst out in their interjections about disagreements and whatnot. I do think it's particularly for the instructions for the general public, I think it's valuable. With regard to cell phones, I understand where you're coming from, but I do think there is legitimate reasons, and there are legitimate reasons, there are not legitimate reasons that people have their phones out, and I'm guilty of both. I think,
Of course.
I think there is value in people being able to look things up, like, for example, we were talking about, I was talking about Mark 36.
I looked them up.
FDR, and I was like, okay, I have no idea what we're talking about, let me look at that, so, I think there's a practical use that people have on phones. There's a perception that you're not wrong about, but I think that's like kind of evolving, that.
And maybe it's just, I mean, some people through the whole meeting are looking at their phone and it's like either they're researching a lot or,
Right.
and maybe it's just something that you quietly suggest that on camera, they look like they're not being attentive. Is there something, but that's up to the chair. Well, I really think the chair can do that.
I use my iPad to look at the documents, because I don't always see it over there, and then just to research, for example, like the production in New York or some stuff like that.
And to be fair, I think as a chair, you know when people are doing that, and you know when they're reading their email.
Right.
You know, but that's, again, it's maybe more for the individual chairs to address, and it's much more noticeable on the Zoom. Stu, you've had your hand.
You don't need a whole meeting to revise the bylaws. You can propose just one revision. Bring that to a full board, and then it just has to be voted on, I guess, at the second full board meeting, right? Something like that.
So 2 full boards.
Right, it's just 2 full boards, so you don't have to revise the whole bylaws.
And our bylaws say an individual can bring that, or does it have to come from exec?
I don't know, that's
It would have to come from exec, so exec would have to pass a resolution. It's been done, it's been a few years since we did it that way, but it has been.
Yes, so individual items could be.
Okay. And if I could say, I wanna boost what Jason said, because I think one thing we need to, we're relatively informal here, and sometimes I think we're lulled into a sense of, oh, this is a conversation with friends about interesting things, but these are government proceedings. You guys are government officials of the city of New York. This is a government agency, the community board, albeit a small one, but still, where our operations are funded by taxpayer dollars. These are government proceedings, and we should treat them with the respect and dignity they deserve. Because if we don't take ourselves seriously, why should we expect the public, the agencies, the elected officials to take us seriously?
Not to mention the fact that it's on YouTube and everybody can watch it.
But no one does.
I do, actually.
Kat?
Just to add a little bit, I really would like to stand with Stu on the procedure. Like, I feel like that's a pressure that I signed on to as a community board member to follow a protocol. And yes, I agree with Jason and Jesus on, doing all the administrative talk. It has purpose, it has value, but also knowing what, call the question, all this other stuff. It's been confusing, it's been contentious sometimes, and often in full board where it's 50 members. In addition to some really heated discussion with public and community folks. I really think that is very immature and not professional. That doesn't show the quality of what we're supposed to be representing as an extension of the city and the state. So I feel like to one of Stu's points, whether it's training, whether it's revisiting this on a more consistent basis, and we're all following something as a baseline for what is called a question, when to use it, yada yada.
I think that it's simply presenting it at full board. I mean, otherwise we have to rely on, 9 different committees to do it. So if we had a parliamentarian, this is kind of their job to say, oh, I'm sorry, that you didn't meet the requirements. But if there are specific issues, I think we just do a presentation at full board. But I'm not sure what the issues are. Stu, it's about calling the question is one that you think should be addressed.
You want me to bring that up now?
No.
I didn't think you did.
I know.
That
3,000 word message.
It's 1 page.
I'm sorry.
It's
I'm
one-
teasing.
It's 1 page. I made it very concise, and it takes extra time to make it concise. And I won't phrase it now, but that has historically been a violation. We're much better now than we were. But now there's ways it's abusing. We're not gonna talk about that now because there's next month.
And
so Stu's suggestion that it should be someone from the office as the parliamentarian, for lack of a better term, is interesting in that I can see the logic behind his thinking there. My view would be, we do have a lot to do, but also part of me thinks that maybe that knowledge should be available to everyone, so everyone could know the rules and not just one person. That's somewhat of how it functions now. Some older members or longer serving members, I'll say, will, pontificate about what the parliamentary procedure rules are, and sometimes they're right and sometimes they're wrong. But everyone should have that knowledge. I've actually been putting together a guide of like the most common motions you guys make, but it's hard to find the time to really devote to it, basing it on the most recent edition of Robert's Rules, which is over 700 pages long. We could just buy you all copies of this and let you have it. But maybe I can probably see. We can see about maybe putting out a sort of a, because I'm also the kind of person that I could work on this forever and just, I let perfect be the enemy of good. Maybe we can just sort of talk with Sandy and we'll see about putting out a version that shows these are the motions that are most common. And then everyone will have that knowledge. And if they want the office to intervene, maybe we can, but if everyone has that knowledge, then maybe other members will be empowered, actual members will be empowered to adjudicate these things. And then we'll see, as far as adding to that document with more elaborate motions and maneuvers, we'll see. But maybe that could be a starting point for teaching the members about parliamentary procedure.
Yeah,
John.
First of all, I want to make two comments. One, I really think Kat makes a very good point about training, and I think we've learned over the last couple of years, at least I have, that, sometimes I assume, and it's easy to assume when someone joins a community board, well, they're a community board person, so they get it. And people don't, and I think we need to be, I'm looking at myself here, more, it's taken me 3 years to figure this out, but I think we need to be more proactive when people join the board, I even recently, just down to little things like, yeah, we're a public body, and not only what we say, but what we write in emails, and I've seen some stuff in emails that shouldn't be in emails, you gotta be careful what you say to people and how you speak to people, so that's something I'm gonna be much more direct when we do training the next time. As I said, it took me 3 years to figure it out. Secondly, on Stuart's point, I think if there is a feeling among people that they are genuinely aggrieved, and I'm being serious here, and that they're being overlooked or being shut off, that has to be talked about. I mean, we're not just a big body of 300 people in the Congress, so I think to, Stuart's point, I think my approach would be I just want to be much more sensitive when I say, even if I'm not supposed to, well, let's move on and call a question. Is someone going to feel like I'm cutting them off? And I never would, if I think I reserve the right to think someone might be making a dilatory comment, but I never want to cut someone off from saying something substantive. So I'm just, my take on this is I'm gonna just try to be a lot more sensitive to that as we move ahead. And trust that, we have people running committees who are gonna listen to that more. And I think, apologize for taking so long, but I think Jesus's point about getting together information on common things that we do is a very good place to start.
10.
Yeah.
I'm not that fresh of a member anymore. We're getting a little old at it, but I do agree that the call to question is a little jarring for me, particularly at full board. No one is there filibustering, but everybody wants to, give their opinion, and that's what it's all about. So I think that that's a really valid point. I think the call to question sometimes has jarred me, because someone wants to say something, and right away somebody's like, "Oh, call to question," because they want to go home. And it's a little jarring. So that's something that we really need to work on.
And I'm going to read what Stu said. I'm only a portion of what Stu said. If after someone calls the question and someone else seconds and the chair says without objection and someone objects, that would force the full board to vote on whether to end debate, which Stu thinks is time consuming.
Of course it is.
It is.
It is, yeah.
And so, but I suggest that we just try to do that and say, you know, if someone calls the question, someone seconds it, the chair says, is there an objection?
But you've been doing that.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I thought so, but apparently
Yeah.
there are people who feel that we've ended debate too quickly. So, I think that's really all, like, let's try and do that.
okay,
Instead of having to redo bylaws and do things. I think it's a much more civil way to deal with each other. Instead of saying, oh, you violated the bylaws. You know,
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a very valid point, and, you know. If the material number of people who are thoughtful, you know, feel aggrieved by this, then we have to pay attention to it.
And-
Period. That's it.
is there anything in Robert's rules that says how many times a member of the body can address the issue?
In other words, can call the question,
No,
or can.
can
speak.
can speak.
On a specific.
Formally, yeah, everyone who wants to speak gets to speak once, and after that, anyone who wants to speak a second time can speak a second time.
And after that, that's it.
And after that, that's it. Even I would say, you know, I mean, we have,
Well, again, I mean, I think some of the concerns here are when it's the same person has back and forth. And that's, again, people get annoyed by that's extending the discussion. It's not, we're not having a discussion, we're actually trying to reach a consensus.
that's understandable.
Yeah,
Well, I'll give a very specific
Mm.
example that happened at full board, our last full board.
Mm.
There was a board member who called to question after, I wanna say 75 minutes. That was flip-flop between legislature folks from the public. I think Salt School took the majority of the public comment. But it took a lot of time and it was very vital information. And then we quickly went into committee business. And it felt to me, and I was behind the individual that did this, felt to me that it was to shut down the conversation, for timing, for, you know, assertive, I don't know. But this person was also not paying attention to the meeting. This was a person who was on their phone. So I'm giving that explicit example because it touches on a lot of things that we've already talked about in this forum
yeah.
tonight. And that was literally a couple weeks ago. So, and that's in a larger, you know, that's all of us and the public and legislative, like, it's just, it's a microcosm of a bigger issue that I appreciate Stu bringing up. And again, I have to represent the new, you know, tier of members coming onto this board. It is intimidating. And I actually wanted to hear more of a conversation, because I think it was in relation to Anton's bulk. I think it was really, it just, it created a lot more drama that I didn't think it was necessary, and we could have had more cordial conversation to mediate the situation.
But I believe I did ask if we could vote on.
I'm not saying it's resting on you, I'm just saying
Oh,
if there's other chairs in the room.
Okay.
Other chairs from other.
you know,
committees.
then we end up relying on the good faith or the good managerial
yes, we do.
act of the chair.
Yes.
Which is actually extrajudicial, extra legal.
Mm.
And that's not a good, I mean, you always have to rely to some extent on discretion and good faith. But to the extent that you have rules that you can follow, it works a lot better.
I must say, I err more on the side of having the chair be the one who, you know, understands these rules, and that's why we're having this discussion.
But
And then-
you're the chair,
Pardon me?
but you're the chair and you trust yourself, and maybe we trust you, but you won't be the chair.
We have chairs in the room. What's the? I mean, we can vote on this. Do you think we should revise our bylaws, or should we try and for this particular issue? And that's, I mean, maybe it's not fair because you haven't seen the full text that's just
Yeah,
sent
it's not-
out, but.
Yeah.
Which is brilliant, by the way. But just to be clear, call the question rule doesn't apply to committees. You don't get to call the question at a committee level, so the rules of committees are just much more casual. By Roberts.
Yeah.
More words.
Jason.
So looking up Robert's rules as it pertains to, what is a previous question motion, which is what we call calling the question.
Yeah.
Specifically in terms of unanimous consent. It says that unanimous consent is used for routine matters only when no member objects, and it can't be used where rules require a vote of a specific size, especially when protecting members' rights. And previous question motion requires, since it requires a 2/3 vote, therefore unanimous consent, as in saying, if nobody objects, it would be inappropriate for such a motion. So I do think if we're looking at Robert's, my understanding here and looking at Robert's rules is that if someone were to raise a call to question, then then we'd be required to then take a vote, say 2/3 vote.
If someone objects,
No, I think asking if there's objection actually is,
well, that's not the interpretation, Stu.
No, I'm sorry, I didn't disagree with anyone. If the chair says without objection, we'll move on to vote on the resolution. If somebody objects.
I don't think it's appropriate to make that, to only ask for if there's objection. I believe my understanding in where we talked about unanimous.
Unanimous.
Terry.
Yeah, that's, I'm looking at unanimous consents that like
There's,
Well,
the principle behind using unanimous consent is that you can't use that when there's a specific voting size that's required for that motion, and because there's 2/3 required for previous question, therefore you can't use unanimous.
It's more complicated than that because in New York City, all votes are by majority, so we're already not allowed to follow Roberts. But I think we see this is why Jesus should be.
Too late to claim that they don't speak English.
We have several people on the board who do consider themselves to be parliamentarians. We can always reach out to them.
For better or worse.
For better or worse. And there are official parliamentarians, so we can delve further into this, but I suggest we don't try to interpret
But
it.
I guess regardless of Robert's rules, I would prefer if we didn't summarize. If we relied heavily less on calls to question and that
Yeah. We debate, we finish our debate and then we vote.
I'm sorry, did you say relied heavily less?
Relied less.
That's by the
I
way.
think we should, calls for calling the question should be an exception and
So
an
that,
arduous process and not the
so
default.
that you're saying the chair should have the discretion to say when it's time to end debate.
Well, I think people should understand that it is not a casual motion and that it's not a normal course of business that we're calling to question. I think calling the question should be reserved for like debate has gone on for too long, which is my understanding of the intention of it. And
Yeah.
like we are deciding as an entire board that we want to end this discussion.
But you're suggesting.
Rather than just like-
Rather than rule, you're suggesting.
Perhaps, sorry, let's, Tanya.
Perhaps it would be then something as simple as at the next full board meeting. Before anything happens, you say, executive has decided that we should be very thoughtful in our calling to question, yada, yada, put something together that tells people that calling the question only should be used in cases of prolonged and unnecessary,
Or repetitive.
repetitive,
I think
thing.
you.
At least, start that way,
And
Pass a rule.
no, it's not a
No,
rule, just,
no, it's
just
not
to
a
like,
rule.
please, as a group, where we're not going to be calling the question
Yeah,
when it's not appropriate.
right. I think that's going to set the tone. And honey's better than vinegar. You set the tone and you tell people, listen, we're gonna try and let everyone have a conversation. And we're going to use it sparingly, the call to question.
My suggestion to that would be is like, if you had a personal of like, I don't know, 8 people minimum get to talk or something that you're keeping track of as the chair, because as you mentioned before, Tanya, you feel like the discussions don't go on for their like full, like fruitful length. But I do think that's kind of the issue, is that people have different perspectives on what that is for discussion. And so I think if you say, well, be thoughtful about when you're calling to question, I think people will call the question the same amount of times that they do now. So I agree with your sentiment, but I think we have to have some kind of more
Written rule?
maybe, but more of a structure or more of a guideline than just being like, follow your heart, because I think.
No, I'm not a follow your heart.
I don't think we're gonna get exactly what we're aiming for if we just ask people to be more mindful.
Well, I think it's explaining what a call to question motion is,
Right.
which I don't think is, I think we don't even
No,
amongst this
we don't,
group have
yeah.
a collective understanding. So I think it's about defining
Exactly
for
what it
the
is.
board, what a call to previous question motion is, when it should be used,
Right.
Yeah.
I will say, listening to committee meetings, that sometimes people, people are waiting, like, somebody gonna call the question, like, we've stopped, are we, like, nobody sort of steps up and says, let's vote on this.
Isn't that the chair's technically responsibility to say, okay, we're gonna now move to vote and close discussion?
It doesn't always happen.
Yeah.
I think some members think that calling the question is just how it's the procedure to.
make a
proceed.
motion, right.
So they don't.
Yeah,
see it
yeah,
as
yeah, I think that's right.
All right, so we'll come up with some text, hopefully I can send it to the exec.
But this is I'm sorry, this is a complex conversation. It brings up a lot of things. I mean, it brings up, for example, Robert's rules also says only one person speaks at a time, and no one speaks without first being acknowledged by the chair. That is something we violate all the time. Again, because, we feel comfortable here, like it's a conversation, but it's not. With people wanting to rush through meetings because they want to get home. Well, again, some people are prolix, maybe some committees pass lots of resolutions to what effect, I don't know, maybe we have to look at that. Is to, really being efficient with what we put out there so that we don't have meetings that are longer than they need to be. We don't have the luxury of having space other than the office for endless time, when we're especially in places we have to pay for, we have 2.5 hours and that's it, or we get charged hundreds of dollars more, extra per hour, and so all those things all those factors confound this conversation, so it's a bigger than what it is, but we can try and pick apart all those things and see what we can do.
Gloria.
I would say I have been put off by the call to question, especially when you were the last person to speak and someone jumps in like, what the hell, why were you talking? It can be very rude. So even just speaking to how people address other people in terms of that, because you can get, those can get upset. But I did want to just say, I personally feel that Sandy has been incredibly good at controlling that and allowing people to talk. But like you said, she's not gonna be the chair forever, but.
I'm gone next year.
Yeah, but I have to say, like, as far as letting everyone speak, knowing when to reel it in, I mean, I've just been really impressed by that. I think she'll be very hard to replace. Can I just say that?
Thank you.
You can't stay?
I can't stay.
Can't we vote you to stay?
No.
You tried that.
But, I'm not sure you can write a rule that is going to enforce that. It's gonna be who you vote to be chair. We're a democracy, you pick the right person, unfortunately.
I'm sorry, last but certainly not least. It also, I find that it happens a lot in meetings where we've had a lot of people from the public. And the thing just drags on and on and on and on and on. And, you have 15 people in favor, 3 against, and then everybody speaks and it's the repetitive. And I find that it gets lengthy. And that's when I see that it's used more than usual.
And we do try, if someone comes to the meeting, to let them speak, even if it's repetitive. I mean, I think we try and say, please, if someone said it before, don't repeat it, but it's a courtesy to people who come to the meeting. So unfortunately, those 7 people from Saul could have been 1.
Yeah.
But, it was.
You had 2 young people in the making of.
It was
leadership,
lovely,
that's for
and
sure.
7 is not 30.
Right.
We've seen
30,
30.
Yeah, that's true.
Right?
We might see them again. Have a sidewalk talk.
Just leave it, it's just a sidewalk and nothing else is,
We've got plenty of fun controversial things to come.
Yeah, sorry, Kat.
Well, I think you all have brought up very specific solutions to this problem. One being the beta test is the next full board, where I think somebody said, everybody speak at least once for an issue, whether it's really, I feel like that's very diplomatic anyway. And be honored very easily by saying, you've already spoken on this topic, just wait until others have been heard. You're very good at your job, but I'm just saying, you've already mentioned that as a probable solution. Issue suspension case scenarios that we could also populate, distribute generally to the 50 members. Jason brought up the college back and clarifying what that is. Like, you've already brought up very tangible, like, solutions that we can activate next month. I'm just saying, like, it sometimes it's very ambiguous knowing how that's gonna be received. But another idea I'm gonna put out there, aside from the 3-minute per community member, which I think is valid, and we need to honor that. The legislative offices, I understand they're doing a lot, but this is also an election year. So I'm like, I can anticipate September, October, and November, them just coming and kind of taking, pontificating, I'll use that word, at larger lengths than we can allow, because we have a lot to cover every month. And that's not to any avail. So I would suggest maybe minimizing the amount of time that a legislator has, because they do submit reports.
Well, and interestingly, I've had feedback from board members of how good it is to actually have the elected officials
Yeah.
come in
Well,
person.
I'm not saying them not come, I'm just saying there's a lot.
Yeah, but I hate to be the one to say it, but I remember when, but they used to go on a lot longer.
Yeah.
And then there was the prior, when Kyle was chair, he put a little
Yeah.
order around it. Some people liked it, some people didn't, but it certainly took almost a half hour of each.
Of the
each
meetings,
at
that's,
least.
and,
So,
you know, Senator Kruger never comes.
I would love to have
Well, because
Senator Krueger in.
okay.
she was told, you know, if someone has a question for you, that's the only thing you can do. You have a question, you answer it, but otherwise it's in your report. And that's not true. Like, we let them talk, but anyway, this has been an extra long meeting. Thank you. Is there any other old or new business? And if there are no objections.
I had a quick question.
Okay,
yeah.
just
Yeah, Jesus, you were just mentioning kind of taking that institutional knowledge about Robert's rules and call to question and all of that and how all that works and consolidating that. Would it be worthwhile to have that like as part of a kind of broader member handbook too, like beyond each of the committees?
Yes, I mean, once we get it to a point where it's ready,
Okay.
it could be in a member handbook. Certainly, yeah.
I mean, we are developing a member handbook. It's just, it takes time, any of these
Okay.
things.
Okay, if you want to work, like we can work together on that if you need some help on that, so.
Okay,
Sure.
seeing no further business, the meeting is adjourned at 8:08.
Thank you.
Thank-